Everyone, it's Brian. Today, at last, I'm going to do a video that I've been thinking about for a long time, and it's my top 5 records of all time. You know that my favorite records sort of ebb and flow over time, and they change depending on maybe the season. I don't know. Sometimes what's my favorite record one month might change the next month, but these are records that have been with me for years, and I think they deserve some attention. So I'm going to run through my top 5 favorites, and noting that, if I did this video again next year, they might be different. So at number 5 from 1980 is Barry from Barry Manilow. This is his 7th record. I mean, look at the condition of this record. It's still in shrink. It comes with a thing you can send away to become a member of the Barry Manilow International Fan Club, and at that point you'd be officially known as a Fanilow. I think Deadheads are past it now, so a Fanilow is what you want to be right now, I think. You got to start as the pianist for Bette Midler on a tour she did of some bathhouses in New York City, and he later produced a couple of her records and toured with her. I'm going to read a quote because I think we have to make sure we get this right. Considered by many to be the very embodiment of the soft rock and adult contemporary genres, Barry Manilow is one of the most successful pop artists of all time. And on this record, there's a duet with Lily Tomlin, if you can believe it. Noted for being an unlikely duet. So very interesting. Kind of a synthesis of the sublime and the genius, perhaps. Not only that, you can find copies of this on Discogs starting for about 7 cents. So if we're talking about cheap heat, this could be it. Fantastic record. Inner sleeve, pretty good shape, I have to say. I paid more than 7 cents for it. So that's number 5, Barry Manilow. At number 4, this artist's 9th record from 1975, and that is John Denver's Wind Song. His real name is Henry John Deutschendorf. I had to read that to make sure I got it right. Unfortunately, John died in 1997 at the age of 53. He died after his home-built aircraft crashed, so taken from us way too soon. This came out at the peak of his career. Like, it came out when he was sort of all over the map. Like, everyone knew him. He was really popular. It has the epic Calypso on here, second last track. And again, if we're talking about albums you can get very cheaply, you can find a copy of this on Discogs for about 25 cents plus shipping. Now, what an image! What a great record this is. These first two, they could easily have been number 1, number 2. It's hard to decide, but an artist we lost way too soon. Love this record. Number 3, I'm not going to say very much about this because unless you've seen the movie, you might not even know much about this. But this is the motion picture soundtrack to Oklahoma, from a film from 1955. Again, you can buy this for $1 on Discogs. And what's great about my copy is that it doesn't have an inner sleeve. In fact, the record is just jammed in there, and you can see it's got a bit of wear, which I'm sure will add to the experience. On Decca, there's some scratches, there's some scuffs, some dirt, but I think that just adds to it. It's a vintage recording, and I think you want to have that authenticity of that extra noise that comes from vinyl records. So this, number 3, could easily have been number 2, maybe. Original cast recording. Rodgers and Hammerstein, what can you say? We're down to the top 2, and these could have been in any order, but I think I got the order right. For number 2, you might not know this artist unless you're Canadian. His name is Dan Hill. This is his debut record from 1975. This copy courtesy of 1050 Chum, a rather terrible radio station in Toronto. It's got a gatefold, so you can see him lounging there. He's known as an unabashedly sentimental singer-songwriter. His biggest hit, which isn't on this album, is a song called Sometimes When We Touch, which is often regarded as, I don't know how I would describe that. Probably the most famous song he ever wrote. I think people have said that they've conceived babies while listening to that song, that it's been used at weddings. But this one doesn't have that song. It's more authentic, I think, this record. He disappeared for a while and then came back in 1987. It's kind of selfish of him to keep us waiting around for a new record, but he did release some records at that time, but they were sort of didn't have a lot of singles, I guess. His song has been covered by Celine Dion, Britney Spears, and Reba McEntire, which I think says a lot about his fan base. So just a quick quote. He's known for his plaintive voice and unabashedly sentimental lyrics. He achieved stardom at the age of 23 with that song you mentioned, Sometimes When We Touch. So sort of a sentimental favorite in Canada, number 2 for me. And number 1 from an artist who is still going strong today. He just turned 85 recently. He's released over 100 records. That includes compilations, live records and that kind. Born in Britain, and described by AllMusic as one of the finest middle-of-the-road balladeers of all time. Now that is an accolade that's hard to pass up. He's had a 50-year career, sold 140 million records, not to be confused with a German composer of the same name, and that is Engelbert Humperdinck from his first album. This is his first album from 1967 called Release Me. Again, there was over 700 copies of this for sale on Discogs starting at 24 cents. So if you want one, you better grab it. The great thing is he didn't write any of these songs. I mean, why write your own songs if you can just make hits out of songs that other people wrote? There's one here that the Hermits did, Kind of Hush. Release Me, I think, was the big song here. Misty Blue is on here. A favorite of my mom's, maybe that's why I love it so much. So number 1, Engelbert Humperdinck. That's the top 5. Thanks for watching.